Alright, na wakati mwingine tena mpenzi mtazamaji, tuko hapa kukuletea kipindi chako kipendacho Morning Cafe. Karibu sana. My name is Freddy Ndimuli.
And my name is Censure, also again standing in for Stanley Nyaringita. And of course, it's truly a pleasure to be here. For myself, I'm usually a nocturnal person. So when mambo nikiambiwa
umechanganyikiwa kiasi.
Wametoa bearing.
Na vile uko na discussion ingine hapa serious, even before we talk about the state of the nation.
Right.
Very serious conversation here.
Yes, housing laws and tenants' rights. Of course, many people especially for the young people who are just leaving their parents, the nini wazungu wanasema moving from the nest. Many people need to know about their housing laws and rights
as a tenant.
And of course, not only tenants, this discussion also helps the landlords to understand where their limits are when it comes to evicting people and when it comes to collecting rent and collecting their dues in the event that a tenant has defaulted.
I saw one landlord who had actually welded the door shut because rent haikuwa imelipwa.
And in some other cases, they also removed the roof.
I tell you, this is a very interesting conversation coming your way at around 8 a.m. with Jura. But before that, State of the Nation, a lot to discuss. We'll be having Joe Mutambo, former MP Mwingi Central, and Geoffrey Ruku, MP Mbeere North. Of course, the biggest discussion is about the Deputy President and the impending or looming threat of impeachment. That will be a very interesting discussion. Do stand by for that. A quick look at the dailies and the big headlines this morning. Counties burnt 10 billion shillings on luxury fuel in 1 year, and some of the counties are there. This is a Star. Grab yourself a copy of the Star. It also has the pull-out, MyGov pull-out on the inside pages. Today is a free copy, so yes, you have no reason why you can't get yourself a copy of the Star. That's a big headline on the Star. The big one on the People Daily:
inside plot to rescue Gachagua, of course, with the bombshell revelations that the DP had said a lot of things on Friday. Someone even went, that is the Senator Mungatana went to seek the DP to be censured, not to be saying some things on TV, to revealing some things.
Oh yes, it is still the biggest discussion even on the front page of the Standard. DP's troubles pile as leaders aim for spoils, and we'll be back to take a look at this story in depth. Meanwhile, on the Daily Nation, something totally different.
Yes, shilling 720 million jobs fraud, suspect who was en route trip to Germany. And of course, we know this is something that has been shrouded in a lot of controversy. Remember, there was, I don't know if it is the president who had explicitly said this, that they are going to create 250,000 jobs.
Yes. And then the German embassy said, your number. But yes, even the Deputy President still on the front page of the Daily Nation. Let's move on. Senator anapima maji, wanauliza swali, maswala bado ya naibu wa rais. Senator Mungatana awasilisha kwa spika wa seneti hoja ya kutokuwa na imani na Gachagua kwa mienendo isiyostahili. Now this is even before the impeachment motion. This is a censure motion before the Senate. Matters business regulator stopped from fixing car insurance prices. Matters insurance has a big headline on the Business Daily. Tukivuka border tuingie Uganda, wameleta shida. David versus Goliath, that's the Daily Monitor today. Now, because we won't come back later, let's take a look at it. Government of kin, they ask. A lawsuit has been filed alleging that the appointment and roles of 3 members of the first family, including the First Lady, who is Education Minister, Janet Museveni, the President's son, who is the Chief of Defense Forces, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, and President's brother, General Salim Saleh, contravene various provisions of the Constitution, effectively turning Uganda into a feudal state run by a family enterprise. Meanwhile, the Attorney General, Kiroya Kiwanuka, has said, who has been listed as a 4th respondent, said the petitioner, listen to this, is not busy. Ana kazi. That's what the AG has said. And you have, I think this is the petitioner, but then this is Salim Saleh, the President's brother, his son, his wife, who all occupy very senior positions in government. This is the Attorney General.
The President's son has been very vocal in saying some things that are of great controversy. Remember, there was a time he said that it will take Kampala a couple of hours to capture Nairobi. Also, just recently, he stated that if Mzee is no longer in power, then there is no way a civilian will be able to take
it. Has to be military.
Yeah, military.
And he is the chief of the military. Amesema nini in short?
Anasema
I'm the next in line. Ni mimi next. Sasa mekasirika nampeleka kotini. Well, that's a Daily Monitor. Let's take a look at the new vision still in Uganda.
NDA approves 300 herbal medicines.
Yes, Matters Herbal Medicines are making it to the front page. And Health Matters in Uganda, you'll realize we're inakuja sana kwa front page. Matters Health and Education. So unclear concoctions causing cancer, this is according to medics, and there's a list inside of some of the 300 herbal medicines that have been approved. And you know, even in Kenya, if at all you want herbal medicine, you can actually cross over to Uganda. If at all they've been approved, why not? Why not use them?
Mwarubaini, or in this case, mwatatu.
That's the front page of the New Vision. Coffee, 13.9 billion shillings availed to register farmers. This is Ugandan money, so don't get too excited. That's in Uganda. In Tanzania, chini ya ulinzi, gazeti la Mwananchi hapa. Sasa kulikuwa na maandamano yaliyopangwa na chama cha upinzani Chadema. Wakajaribu kwenda kwa barabara jana, polisi walikuwa na wao. Polisi walidhibiti maandamano ya Chadema Dar, wakamata wachache waliojitokeza mitaani, hatua kwa hatua. Lisu, Mbowe walivyokamatwa, Muliro wasema hali ni shwari. So yes, chini ya ulinzi walijaribu what Kenyans did, wakakiona moto.
I think it's a good thing for Tanzania and Uganda, given that now they saw what happened in Kenya. They've learned a little bit. The police have gotten to understand how to deal with the crowds, because what happened in Kenya, of course it has happened in other countries, but they never expected Kenya to be to have such an incident to occur. It shook the headlines world over.
Yes, indeed. But in Tanzania, they rarely see demonstrations. They rarely see such things. So this must have been really shocking for them.
Right.
The fact that people can actually go to the streets to complain. It is still the main story on the Citizen today.
How police foiled planned opposition protest in Dar, that is Dar es Salaam, a city in our neighboring sister country, that is Tanzania, and a heavy police presence in various parts of the city deters opposition supporters from holding protest marches announced by Chadema. And of course, just a couple of months ago, in Uganda, there were successful protests. Remember the first one that was thwarted when some citizens were protesting, wanted to go to parliament, but they weren't able. But then there was a group of nudists.
Oh yes,
who were able to reach the parliament.
Watu wanafuatilia masuala ya mpira leo, lakini hatutaki kuangalia mpira. Tunataka tu kuangalia masuala ya weather.
Ni mambo ya wazungu.
Hiyo mipira ya wazungu haitatupea pressure sasa sisi. Na tukianza na weather kule Mombasa.
Yes, Mombasa weather is at 24 degrees Celsius this particular morning, and of course you're expecting the day to go on becoming even much hotter with highs of 29 degrees. That is at 11 a.m. towards noon, and start steadily going down towards they have the other half of the day, that is at 3 to say 4 p.m. and that the lowest actually is this morning.
Currently, yes. Yeah. 24 degrees is actually the lowest, which is quite high. Let's take a look at Moyale. That's the farthest end of the country towards the north. 19 degrees Celsius as we speak. Expect a very sunny day throughout the day. Highs of 28 degrees. More or less what we see in Mombasa today. It may be a bit lower in the morning, but 20 degrees Celsius later in the day.
And it's rising steadily according to the chart.
Oh yes. Alafu highest iko 5 p.m. Saa 5 p.m. ndo jua imewaka badala iteremke. Aha. The City of Champions, Eldoret. 13 degrees Celsius as we speak. Also sunny intervals throughout the day. We don't expect any showers or any thunderstorms.
Generally a cloudy day.
Yes. Yeah. Highs of 22 degrees. So yeah, moderate weather there. Very comfortable weather. Finally, Nairobi. Just click on the last one there. And you see how the city in the sun is looking. 13 degrees Celsius as we speak. Partly cloudy for most of the day. Highs of 24 degrees. That's the highest that you'll get. 24 degrees that we are getting as the highest today is the lowest in Mombasa.
Right. So this generally tells you that usifue nguo leo.
Haitakauka.
Yeah.
Especially sweater.
Kweli.
Hiyo kae tu nayo, upige tu vumbi hivi uachane nayo. We'll be back to take a look at the traffic situation at around 6:30 because hayo ndio mambo itakuwa imeshikana proper. Yes. And do we have today in history? Yes. Let's take a look at today in history.
Today in history, 24th September 2018, President Uhuru Kenyatta inaugurates United Nations Conference. On September 24, 2018, President Uhuru Kenyatta officially opened the first UN Habitat Assembly in Nairobi. This conference brought together representatives from various countries to discuss sustainable urbanization, affordable housing, and development issues in line with the UN's Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs). Kenya's leadership in hosting such international forums highlighted its role in advocating for urban development and environmental stability.
All right, let's now come back and take a look at the local dailies in depth. All right, karibu sana. Let's take a look at the Star today. Smart people read the Star. Being Tuesday, it is a free copy, and on the inside you get the MyGov pullout for government tenders and job opportunities. Grab yourself a copy of the Star today. They say smart people read the Star.
Indeed.
So we start with it. Counties burnt 10 billion shillings on luxury and fuel in a year. Remember, we are in dire straits. And we inherited a dilapidated economy and empty coffers.
Right.
There was only like 13 million shillings in the accounts.
But we still have 10 billion shillings to burn on luxury.
Oh, yes. So what austerity, they ask? Some 37 devolved units spent 5.12 billion shillings on hospitality alone. Ile tu ya kusherehekea na kuinvite watu wakuje na kuambia tutapatia chai na mandazi.
And of course, the Bungoma County is... I would say I expected it to be on that list. Remember, it was the same county that gave us non-carcinogenic
oh, yes.
wheelbarrows.
And the former Senate Speaker is back there at the helm of that county unit. Kenneth Lusaka, 433.1 million shillings spent like this on luxury. Nakuru, 446 million. Kakamega, 521 million. And you wonder, in Kakamega, how do you spend 521 million shillings? Unaenda wapi? Where? The extravagant expenditures are claimed under operations and maintenance. And if you open the page, pages 4 and 5, because they've done, it's not just the 3. On page 5, now have a list of extravagance in counties. Kakamega is top of the list. Bottom spenders include Tharaka Nithi, 33 million. Yeah. Taita Taveta, 35 million. Mandera, 39 million. Embu here, 40 million. Places like Vihiga, which is right next to Kakamega, they spent 89 million shillings. Only 89 million shillings. Yet Kakamega spends 521. Wakienda wapi?
And I'm actually surprised that first-time governors are also in this particular mix, given that they were at the center of the Gen Z protest, and many people are crying the ridiculous spending in government, and they should have learned from that, and at least shielded Kenyans from this type of expenditure.
And this is an eye-opener, because I think there's an insistence on us talking about Murima, and we focus too much on what is happening with the politics in Nairobi and in the Mount Kenya region, and we forget what's happening elsewhere in the country.
And of course, these are monies that can start up meaningful projects that can help people in society get jobs, even hospitals, fund schools and things like
farmers and the likes.
Right.
Anyway, that's a big story on the Star. You can grab yourself a copy. Other quick highlights on the front page of the Star. Tharaka Nithi Beast, who beat his grandparents senseless, jailed for life, as he should. Ruto and Raila deal why first-term governors are likely to have an edge. And finally, teenagers hope to walk again renewed as medics transform lives in Kisumu. That's the Star today. Remember, it is a free copy. Grab yourself a copy of the Star and get also the government MyGov pullout. People Daily. And I've seen a very interesting story here even before we take a look at this. They say, why you are free to find love at the workplace. This came from a court pronouncement yesterday.
So it means office husband and office wife will now become...
It will become official now.
Right.
Now HR is Zusha. Yeah. Because it's a very interesting story. And I remember we had this conversation here on relationships, or whether it is cool or right to actually date
at the office,
a co-worker. But it would appear even the law does not stop you.
Now, the question is it ethical
Well, if it's not illegal, if it's not against the law, then we mwenyewe ujipange sasa.
Bora una mtu huko nje.
Hata ukiwa na mtu huko nje ukikuja kazini, office wife, office husband.
Takes effect.
Anyway, the big headline is something what we've been talking about.
Inside plot to rescue Gachagua, embattled Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, that is, allies vow not only to fight up, but also poison constituencies for those pushing for his impeachment. Remember, on Friday, the DP dropped a bombshell, revealing that he had been removed from the WhatsApp group that has the president and his aides inside that particular group, meaning that the DP has been isolated, and many things that the president does, the DP is not privy. That's why we've been seeing a lot of rift between them. Remember that famous picture that happened to be taken a while back where the president was seated next to an empty seat. You know, they say pictures say 1,000 words.
Oh, yes.
And that indeed did say...
spoke a lot.
Yeah.
Yes, but the question is, will he really wait for his impeachment? Because there are implications if you're successfully impeached, then you're barred from running for any public office for quite a long time. So will he? I saw some argument on social media, many people saying he will probably opt to resign if the impeachment actually finds itself to the National Assembly. We have to wait and see. Meanwhile, his allies are working really hard to try and counter that push. Other quick highlights on the front page of the People Daily. Mbadi now defends secret Adani deal, how tables turn. And did you ever imagine that John Mbadi will be the biggest defender of this administration? Now he was there defending the deal before a Senate committee, and it was so dramatic that 3 senators, Richard Onyonka, Edwin Sifuna, and Samson Cherargei had to walk out in protest from that sitting. Yes, the same person who was chairman of ODM.
Yeah, the same person who called people skunks.
How he's defending the skunk.
How tables have turned.
Yes. Someone else who's also on ODM. In ODM top man risks arrest over sodomy. And this is a case going on in Mombasa where a blogger was kidnapped and assaulted, sodomized. That case is in court, and they're trying to link the governor to that case. Find out more about this story on page 2 of the People Daily. Very interesting. Standard wamejaza story mingi kwa ukurasa wa mbele bana. Hii inakaa kama gazeti ya Tanzania. Wamejaza tu ma story, but anyway, the big story, DP's troubles pile as leaders aim for spoils. Now, this is the other angle. So tunajua unatoka. So tunajipanga nani atakuja kuingia hapo kwa hiyo space.
Kweli. And Mungatana, Tana River Senator Mungatana, of course, in the other daily, we saw Anapima Maji seeing how far he can push this. And of course, I did hear Didimas Baraza, the MP for Kimilili, saying that he has taken a 1 month off from parliament duties. The only thing that will bring him back to Nairobi is to vote in the impeachment of the deputy president.
So an impeachment motion will probably be filed in the National Assembly.
Right.
A censure motion before the Senate. Yeah. So yes, that is what is happening there. The Tana River senator is doing that. Meanwhile, senior Mount Kenya leaders are positioning themselves should the looming impeachment idea materialize and vacancies occur. So yesterday, I think the People Daily had done a scenario where if Rigathi Gachagua is removed, then Kindiki becomes the deputy president, then Kimani Ichung'wah becomes CS Interior, then what do you call him? Ndindi Nyoro takes over as majority leader in the National Assembly. Do you think that deal could work? But it is true. Many people are positioning themselves. And some of the faces here, Danson Mungatana, the new ODM chairperson, Gladys Wanga, Francis Atwoli there, Gathoni wa Mushomba, who's one of the fiercest defenders of the deputy president, and Millie Odhiambo. Some of those people quoted saying a few things about this matter there. And probably just to take a look at what Gladys Wanga said, when anybody from the presidency comes out to address the country, Kenyans expect to hear about how to deal with the many challenges. So yes.
And of course, with the new dalliance between President William Ruto and opposition chief Raila Odinga, we expect some of the ODM members also to want something in the event the DP is actually ousted.
Yes, and you see they've done a list there on the front page of the Standard. They're saying these people are lining up. Kithure Kindiki has been touted as a possible replacement. Kimani Ichung'wah, yes. Anne Waiguru, Ndindi Nyoro, Cecily Mbarire, Gladys Wanga too, and Mwangi Kiunjuri. And you see, Gladys Wanga is the most interesting addition to that list because ODM could now lay a claim to that deputy president's position and say, okay, fine, tumekusaidia. Hii serikali ni sisi tumesimamisha after Gen Z protest.
Right.
So why not give us number 2?
True. And of course, they say palipo na moshi hapakosi moto. And there was a time that there was this poll that was done over the interwebs saying if Kenya was to have a female president, the lineup had the notable face, of course, Martha Karua, the Iron Lady, and then came in Gladys Wanga, who is, compared to Karua, is a political novice. She has not had experience as Martha Karua, but now with things now looking like they are trying to align, then if indeed the DP will be ousted, then hey.
Well, the president has made more than one trip to Homa Bay in the past 1 year. So you never know, you just never know.
Even during the times when there was a lot of bad blood between Raila Odinga and the president, you see, the president during his first stop in Nyanza was
Homa Bay.
Was in Homa Bay, and of course he received a hero's welcome. So yeah, they say palipo na moto hapakosi, palipo na moshi hapakosi moto.
Other interesting stories on the front page of the Standard: tender wars, killing at heart of Apex Hospital. This is what's happening at the Nairobi hospital. A few people have died apparently, and they're saying that those deaths are linked to tenders. Yani ni mbaya, well, that's how bad it can get. This other story here: the church rejects bill citing freedom of worship. Now, this is one of the most controversial issues. It's on page 10 of the Standard. Many people always talk about freedom of worship, freedom, a separation of state and religion. It is also by the Tana River Senator, Danson Mugatana. Churches have opposed a bill that seeks to impose tough regulations on religious organizations, and it has been drafted by Tana River Senator Danson Mugatana in the Religious Organizations Bill of 2024, which provides a regulatory framework, tough conditions for registration, and harsh punishment for rogue operators. After Shakahola, after what we've seen, many people are keen to get this regulation going. But will churches agree to that?
Of course, they have started saying that they will not, and they are saying that bill should be rejected in totality, not amended.
Oh, yes.
Taking leave from Gen Z's protest.
Interesting. Other quick ones: tempers, flares, Mbadi is pushed on Adani deal. We've already talked about that. On the back page of the Standard Matters Sports, streetwise Arsenal show they are real deal amid pain at Man City. Yes, this one, Arsenal really deserved to win that game on Sunday night.
Fred, mbona unaongea kama mtu Arsenal?
Lakini watu wa Man City wakaungana na refa wakafanya ile kitu. Lakini ni sawa tu, Mungu mbele. Yes. All right, that's the Standard. Let's take a look at the Daily Nation.
Yes, the top headline right there: 720 million jobs fraud suspect who was in Ruto's Germany trip. And of course, they've gone further to indicate that although he was not part of President William Ruto's recent delegation to Germany to sign a labor agreement, Mr. Caesar Wagisheru Kingori, alias Shrewd of Ventmark Travel Agency Limited, managed to find his way to Berlin while he was hobnobbing with the leaders at meetings on overseas work opportunities. He had a trail of victims of his job racket back home where investigators had summoned him for questioning. And of course, this is not the first situation we are seeing of job frauds. Remember, there was that one that I can't remember the name exactly, but it did involve some lady from Eldoret.
Yes, the Finland.
Finland,
yes.
Right.
So I think this going forward probably will be one of the biggest cons in Kenya, people trying to get jobs abroad. And I think the president needs to do something. He is among the biggest advocates of exporting labor. But of course, there are people who will take advantage of it.
And you know, they say you are at times the architect of your own problems. Given that the president has been championing greatly for overseas jobs, and of course, they say people take and look for opportunities in such situations.
Yes. So be on the lookout. Usienjoiwe. Yes, the deputy president also on the front page testing the waters. What it will take to impeach Gachagua. President William Ruto's allies have started testing political waters for a possible impeachment motion against the deputy president through a censure motion in the Senate. Tana River Senator Danson Mugatana filed a motion over what he termed Mr. Gachagua's unbecoming conduct that has continued to demean the office of the deputy president. This is on page 4 and 5. Hey. Pale kwa health, kuna story moja very interesting. Anasema 20 miscarriages, one miracle. So very interesting story there on the Healthy Nation pullouts inside the Daily Nation today. All right. Taifa Leo wanasema seneta anapima maji.
Yes, still the same headline on DP's impeachment. Senator wa Tana River asema naibu wa rais akiuka maadili ya afisi yake kwa mienendo yake ya kujitokeza kama kiongozi wa kikabila na pia kutoa matamshi yasiyofaa kwa umma na kwenye vyombo vya habari. Of course, it's in reference to the DP's interview on Friday.
Oh yes, and you know, you talked about the rally at Githurai.
Githurai, yeah.
That rally said a lot because there were chants of Ruto must go, right in the presence of the deputy president. He did not stop anyone from doing it. Actually, his allies were helping people make the chant. Also, while addressing the same rally, that day he started by calling his boss, Mr. President, my boss. Later on, by evening, he was saying William.
William. The gloves are off. Now let's get into the ring.
Vidokezo zaidi kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa gazeti hili. Viongozi wa upinzani Tanzania wakamatwa. Tulizungumzia haya kwenye kurasa za mbele za Tanzania, gazeti la Mwananchi na The Citizen. Gazeti la Taifa Leo pia imepatiwa kipaumbele story hiyo. Kwingineko, makanisa yapinga kudhibitiwa. And it was to be expected. I don't think churches can just agree. And even the president himself must be in a very tight corner when it comes to churches, given his relationship with them.
In fact, yesterday during the press conference given by the religious leaders, they did say, Mr. President, usitufinyilia, kumbuka tulikusupport.
Yeah.
Already they have put a shackle on his leg, so he's a troubled man when it comes to this particular matter.
Do you think churches should be regulated? That's the question we should be asking. Kwingineko, viongozi 20 wahadhiri wakamatwa. Yes, the ongoing lecturer strike. Yesterday, they actually went for protests. It's there on the front page of the Daily Nation, that picture there.
Right.
Of some of the lecturers who are protesting being arrested by police.
And it was quite, should I say, funny. Not funny because people are fighting for their rights, but I don't think the lecturers expected it to turn like this, given that they were given a taste of the tear gas like the Gen Zs had. And I really don't know why, when it comes to situations like this, leaders don't show up for the protests. While the arrests were happening, the leaders were taking up doing press conferences at that particular time.
Failure. Matters business regulator stopped from fixing car insurance prices. They say appellate court upholds decision blocking IRA guidelines. Ombudsman argued minimum prices favor cartels. Another story, judge backs office romance, warns employers against interfering. Yes. HR anaambiwa wewe usiulize mtu ukisikia wanapendana mapenzi kazini. This is very interesting. All right, let's take a look at the cartoons this morning and see what they're focusing on. Gazeti ya Tanzania inataka kuangaliwa mara ya pili. Tulimalizana on the Standard, the cartoons still to do with the deputy president. A lot of focus in the cartoons has been about the deputy president and his wars. 2 frames here. On one, the number 2 holding that placard ya shareholder na anasema nitaweka mitego kila mahali State House. Sasa hii kuna censure motion pale chini ya kitanda. Anasema why can't I sleep?
But what do they expect from the truthful man?
He's just being truthful.
He's just being truthful to what is aimed.
That's a cartoon on the Standard. On the Daily Nation, still the deputy president, kuna ile inaitwa Fandili. So, anavunja madirisha huko State House. You can see Dennis Itumbi here, Kimani Ichung'wah, some other big, yes. So, the deputy president also has his weapons. This is Gathoni wa Mushomba, and is Cleo Malala. Those are the weapons that he's using to break the windows at State House. So yes, akona Fandili pale. Matters deputy president, that's a cartoon on the Daily Nation. On the Star, it is still the deputy president.
Yes, the DP donning the G for Gachagua, the emblem that is similar to that of the Superman. Bring it on, and as you can see down here, we have Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja, as well as Professor Kithure Kindiki, the CS for Interior. The other last person, I cannot make out who that is. And the DP is clearly saying, bring it on. He's ready to fight. You can see their gloves, and of course, he has already chosen to take the red corner.
Yes, the gloves are off. Kama unataka kuleta impeachment, ilete. Still the same story on the People Daily. And here they have the caricature of the president and the deputy president. They had been sitting on this plank, which is their relationship. They are somewhere raised. So once this relationship breaks, both are at risk of falling. So sio Rigathi peke yake, hata huyo jamaa mwingine pia anaweza umia That's a cartoon on the People Daily.
Tukiumia ni goal.
We'll be back to take a look at this and other stories with my panelists in a while. As I promised, let's take a look at the traffic situation right now before we take a break. Yes. Quickly, yes, and around the Pangani interchange, it's building up quickly and slowly. This is normal traffic this time. So if you're coming from Thika Road, or can you kindly get rid of that? Yes. If you're coming from the direction of Thika Road, this area here around Pangani interchange, it's building up slowly. Jogoo Road 2 building up in areas at Makadara, Mbotela, heading towards town and heading towards the City Stadium roundabout. Hapo iko sawa sawa tu. Kwingineko kuna masuala mengi. Langata Road is looking good. Mbagathi Way 2, Ngong Road kama kawaida pale Adams Arcade na pale Prestige ndio kuna mshike kidogo. Junction Mall building up slowly at the lights. Naivasha Road also it's getting busy. In areas kule Kawangware imeshikana kweli kweli. Especially hapo Kawangware hapo karibu Precious Blood. Meshikana kweli kweli. Wayaki Way into town, it's moving also smoothly, nothing much to report this morning. So that's the traffic situation this morning around the city. Promises to get probably busier as the day progresses. For now, turegelee kuzungumzia maswala ya big headlines today. And of course, I'd introduced my panelists earlier, Geoffrey Ruku MP Mbere and Bwana Joe Mutambu, former MP Mwingi Central, will be in studio after the break for this and other stories to discuss the headlines. So do stand by for that. Meanwhile, you can be part of the conversation through our social media pages on X at TV47 News and on Facebook TV47 Kenya.
Yes, and of course at 8 to 9 a.m. I don't know why I'm saying PM. Like I said, I'm an older person. So we'll be talking matters housing law and tenants' rights. And of course, as I had stated, for those people who are just planning to leave their parents' abode and or the comfort of their parents to venture on their own, these are some things that you're supposed to be privy and to know what actually happens outside. Usije ukajipata flat-footed huko nje, landlord anakuhara. So stay tuned for that particular conversation to be able to be informed. And of course, on set I'll be speaking to Maina Patrick Njiro, an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. That is at 8 to 9 a.m. So stay tuned and stick with us.
All right.
Hey there friends, welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire,
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism how to farm.
motivate,
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
and break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m. The Grind, where business meets brilliance. It's not just about the ideas.
I was working as a shampoo boy. I used to wash clients' hair on the sink.
It's about making them happen. From big wins
In primary school, when we would be asked what people want to be, I was categorical that I want to be a nurse.
to hard lessons,
The consoles change, the gaming equipment keep changing.
we cover it all. Tune in to The Grind, where every episode is packed with insights,
The person who is serving customers, always be a customer-centric.
strategies,
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
and stories to fuel your ambition. Don't just dream it, grind it. Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora. Kutoka kwa ushindi mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Wakati wetu kwamba wasichana si wa kusoma, ni wa kuolewa, ng'ombe ipatikane, wazazi wakuwe watajiri.
Tunashughulikia yote.
I wish I were a better investor.
My parents taught me how to look for things for myself.
Tazama Mfahamu Kiongozi, ambapo kila kipindi kimejaa maarifa, mikakati na hadithi za kukuza azma yako.
For me to succeed, I have to fight.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire,
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism how to farm.
motivate,
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
and break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundary.
Yes, indeed. Welcome back. You're watching Morning Cafe on TV 47. Time for us to take a look at the headlines this morning. And we're privileged to have Joe Mutambu, former MP Mwingi Central, for this session. Karibu sana, Bwana Mutambu.
Asante.
Siasa ni nyingi na tutazungumzia baadaye. But even before we start, yesterday, Treasury CS John Mbadi appeared before the Senate committee to try and shed more light on the Adani deal for the takeover of the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Let's take a look at the story filed by our reporter.
The ongoing public-private partnership PPP project involving KAA and Adani has progressed through several phases, yet many Kenyans remain unconvinced. Then there is the matter of a feasibility study completed by Adani, which was later submitted by KAA, with KAA under fire for not conducting a feasibility study of their own.
There's information that the Sultanate of Abu Dhabi has got shareholdings to Adani, and there is also the issue that the Indian Prime Minister Honorable Modi actually controls 58% of the Adani empire. Do you have any such information or not?
The feasibility report submitted by Adani has not alleviated the growing public dissent. Many critics argue that bypassing competitive bidding undermines the integrity of this project. The deal is further complicated by worries that KAA employees may face job losses.
Page 27 on employees, it talks about the proponent proposes to offer employment to a mutually agreed percentage of current employees of the contracting authority on terms and conditions as provided in the concession agreement. What percentage were they proposing, if you're aware?
Despite approval from the National Treasury and the PPP committee, the deal has faced backlash over its lack of competitive bidding. Many question whether the government's push for partnership with Adani reflects a genuine effort to enhance JKIA or simply a decision made behind closed doors to benefit a few bigwigs.
Did you receive a letter through you, Chair, from any other company other than Adani requesting to do this project?
The answer is no, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to table, I have 3 letters which were written by 2 different companies. Adani was the third one.
Negotiations between KAA and Adani Airport Holdings began after the PPP committee's approval in mid-2024, but the absence of competitive bidding continues to fuel dissent. The Heads of Terms document, which outlines key terms for the partnership, has failed to quell public concerns. Essential directives from the PPP committee, such as ensuring stakeholder engagement and conducting thorough due diligence, remain unaddressed. Ann Odida, TV 47.
Yes, and that story by Ann Odida will kickstart our conversation this morning, Bwana Mutambu. You must have, or you may have watched Treasury CS John Mbadi now appearing before the Senate Roads Committee to try and explain from the government's perspective what this deal is all about. And I think for the first time, having someone who was a former member of ODM going to defend government. What is your feeling? Because many would have thought that once we get new people in cabinet, that the thinking will be different. But anyone getting into cabinet quickly, within weeks, is very fast to defend government action that has come under criticism already.
There are 2 questions in your question. One is somebody from opposition defending the government. 2, the CS struggling to explain the position. I have not only watched Mbadi, I saw Chirchir. And before then, when Murkomen was being vetted, I also listened to him. And no one could explain to Kenyans what either happened, what is happening, and what is going on. Mbadi yesterday struggled to explain the whole thing. But when you have sharp minds, you could read between the lines that the whole thing is murky. The whole thing. It is not wrong for a country to have a PPP. Actually, it's encouraged because it helps in development. You bring in investors who put their money, and they also have to be protected by the same government because they are putting their resources, which government don't have. That is okay. But the way this thing is being handled, it is smelling. It leaves a lot of bad taste in Kenyan's mouth. And this is for Kenya, not for an individual. The government is for the people. So if people don't feel it and they don't understand it, don't force it through their throat. So the whole thing, to be honest with you, is murky. How it is started, how it's being handled. We have laws which governs our procurement in Kenya. PP also lies under those laws. You have to adhere to the laws which are there. And if you skip one, you will find yourself in this mess. And that is what happened. They skipped the law, they skipped the issue of public participation, because this is a public entity. So there is no way you can sit down. And we are told that there are signatures which were appended by officers. Did they follow the procedure? That's the question. So, and if you listen to Bandi, you could hear him say there's no deal. What is happening is the process. So if this process is bringing issues, then what don't we do about it?
Exactly.
Yes.
And many Kenyans are wondering, okay, fine, we listening to all these CSs, it would appear the government is still insistent on proceeding with the deal with Adani, despite all the criticism. And now we're seeing Parliament, or at least one house of Parliament, questioning this. But to what consequence? And many people are wondering, is it possible that Parliament could actually halt such a process? They're asking questions, yes, and they appear very agitated, especially in yesterday's session. Then what?
If you have a sharp mind, you will know from the government side, from where the government is sit, the deal is sealed.
It's a done deal.
It's a done deal. From where they sit, they know we have done this. I don't want to go into details, but your guess is good as mine, what I'm thinking, what happened, and that's what Kenyans are thinking. Why the government is pushing this deal, they know why. Okay, Kenyans know why the government is pushing. I know, you know. It's not a subject to discuss here, all right? So that happened, for sure. Whatever it is, whether it was prayers, whether it was what, something happened. It is not for me to broadcast it to Kenyans, but I know they know what happened, and that's why the government is pushing this deal, right? So the question is, can the parliament stop this deal? We will have to hold it ourselves and say, what are the repercussions of stopping it? Because if there were agreements, because Kenya is a country of rule of law, right? But if they were done illegally, the court can pronounce itself that this deal was illegal. Pronouncement by parliament that the deal was either it was illegal or not cannot be implemented anywhere. The only order which can be implemented is the order from the court pronouncing itself that this thing was done unconstitutionally. So then it becomes null and void.
All this we're being entertained from Parliament, it is basically inconsequential.
It's just, I would want to say it's just a PR. It's just to make the public aware or know what is happening. But at the end of the day, there's no order which can come from Parliament to deter the deal going on. The only thing which Parliament can do is to deny to appropriate funds to such arrangements. If government was to pay, the Parliament can say, no, we are not going to pass this budget for that. That is the only area where Parliament can stamp their authority. But questioning Bandi, questioning who, they question. But if you have witnessed what happens, they question them, you look at them at camera, they are so agitated, so bitter, and immediately they wake up from those seats. They're cladding, they are laughing with the same minister. So what does that tell Kenyans?
Right.
So to my take is that this deal, from government point of view, is a sealed deal.
Adani is a done deal.
Adani is a done deal. The only savior we have is our courts.
Okay.
If courts pronounce it that this is not was not done following the law, then that is something we can own, and we can say we have a judgment from court pronouncing this deal as illegal. So they cannot go to any other court to demand compensation because it was done illegally.
Okay. So yes, dear Kenyans, if at all you expect any consequence from this discussion, the only option is the courts.
Yes.
Okay. The other headline before we get to the big discussion about the deputy president's wars is also before the Senate, and Danson Mungatana, the Tana River senator, who coincidentally also tabled a motion of censure against the deputy president. On page 10 of the Standard, he has another bill, which is even more interesting, and it's about religious organizations. Churches have opposed a bill that seeks to impose tough regulations on religious organizations. It is drafted by Tana River Senator Danson Mungatana. This is the Religious Organizations Bill of 2024, which provides a regulatory framework, tough conditions for registration, and harsh punishment for rogue operators. This is a discussion that has been a long time coming. It is one of those debates that starts and within no time just dies down naturally. The relationship between the state and religion in Kenya has become very murky, especially under President William Ruto. Now, this bill coming around this time, do you think it could see the light of day? After what happened in Shakahola, of course, the general public is aware that something needs to be done.
One, when you are making such a bill, you have to be very cautious to the Constitution of Kenya. And there is one fundamental right granted in the Constitution, freedom of worship. Is there. So when one is working on how to regulate the pastors and the rest, you have to be very careful. That does not take away the government's role on doing it. One, we understand that churches have been misused. And when you go back to history, those people who were the altar men of God, they were chosen by God himself. That leadership of church, they were chosen by, not every Dick and Harry who just walk up and say, I want to be a pastor. And some of them, they are calling themselves bishop. And nobody has ever stepped in a theology school. Okay, you may not need to do that. Sometimes they claim it's a calling. Who called them? I don't know. And when they were called. But when you audit the clergy we have in our country, you put them here, and you look at their operations, and you see what they do. It's demonic. Demonic. I'm sorry to say that, but I have witnessed it myself. I've seen. So, and I've interacted with those pastors. We know there are genuine ones, and there are those who are not genuine. So the only thing here is for those who are genuine to accept and to let the government. And you see, government do not operate in vacuum. There must be a law somewhere, all right? There must be a law for the government to implement. So they must let the government control how people are coming to this space of worship. The so-called the pastors and the rest. I don't know how many titles they have, right? Those ones who are genuine, they need to support the government because it is their name which is being tarnished. If you go through an ordeal with a pastor somewhere, and it is proved that whatever happens is not right, what will happen to the other pastors? That name, that branding of a name, that market thing will be transferred to the genuine pastors, and Kenyans will not know who is a good pastor and who is a bad pastor, right? So I would say, yes, as much as we have what we call freedom of worship, that we do not want to be curtailed, that we do not want to be controlled, the entire system of worship need to be audited in a manner that we bring sanity into churches.
And the most controversial clause, if I could read it here, in the bill provides that a person shall not establish, manage, operate, assist in the establishment, management, or operation of a religious organization or an umbrella religious organization unless the organization is registered. This registration And it also proposes penalties of up to 10 million shillings and fines or imprisonment of up to 5 years or both for those who are found to have violated the law. And they argue, the religious leaders, is that this is akin to criminalizing preaching the gospel, that you may be found preaching the gospel and end up in jail for violating a law.
What happens to a pastor who does these funny things they do to their congregants? What happens to them? Is that not a criminology? So is that not a crime? Because there are so many crimes committed in the name of the Lord.
But
so many.
They'll argue that the penal code is already there in existence that can handle other criminal criminal acts even within a church.
You see, my take is this. If churches need to be registered, because of course they do register, even today.
We have a lot of street preachers.
They are registered. Let me tell you, they are registered. Catholic is registered, AIC is registered, all those churches are registered. There's nothing new. So what Mugatana, I don't know what is in mind, but what I'm reading is that what he's saying is that don't just wake up and start an organization somewhere. Follow what others are following. So there's nothing wrong with that. As much as they're feeling that it is a punitive proposal, I would want to ask myself, why would I not want, if I am registered, if Muli wants to come to the space, why is he going free without getting registered? And if he does that, and he wakes up and says, today I want to start preaching, and they start their own church somewhere, and whatever is happening in that church is ungodly, who is responsible? Who will check that person? And I don't think, and I'm sorry, I am staunch Catholic, Christian, and I have a lot of, I believe in God, okay? But I don't think God or Jesus will come down and start whipping these people. There must be some organization here where we live to make sure that whatever they are doing is in line. And that can only be government. That can only be government. But there cannot be any other institution.
Do you think this particular administration, William Ruto's administration, would be able, given the kind of relationship the president has had with church leaders, do you think he'll be able, even signing this bill, it appears would be a problem once it passed?
I don't see him signing, right? That's my opinion. Why? Because I think he would also want to redeem himself. Because the way he came in, he used one road called the churches. That's the road and the moment he reached to the destination, now he's using another route to either do his or other things, and he has abandoned the wagon he was in. And that is the feeling of the churches. I interact with them. They feel that, honestly, let me say the way they are feeling. They are saying that Ruto lied to them, cheated them, because he gave them a lot of hope. And I think Bishop never wanted, or the pastors or the clergy, never wanted President Ruto to be to appointing them to jobs or to be giving them some handouts. No. They wanted him to propel this country in a godly manner. That's what they wanted. They wanted him to respect the churches. They wanted him to respect the people of Kenya. That's what the churches wanted. They never wanted him to give him money. They wanted him to, because here we have people who are nurturing Kenyans spiritually. All right? So these people, they also need government support. And what is the government support they need? Is that if I have a church somewhere, okay, let me be. But what is happening? We saw the first person to serve a casualty was Margaret Wanjiru. His church was demolished. And that is the church where they were praying when Ruto was asking for votes. You get it? So you use my helter, then when you are sent to power, you come and demolish it. Even if it is one, what picture are you sending to the others? That is where Ruto and the churches started parting ways. You see, every institution or every people, every person in this country requires recognition, okay? And if churches have a recognition of the presidency or of the government, that be, it is good for them and for their operation. But once it's cut, right? They feel this person, we were with him, but now we are not with him.
Do you think the president is keen on rebuilding that relationship right now? He used it as a vehicle to get into the presidency. Does he need it to sustain anything right now?
If he feels that the church will help him, he will go there running. You saw the other day he had a team of clergy in State House. Why did he call them?
So he still has a need for the church.
He needs everybody to go forward. From today, with the mess which is in this country, Ruto needs everybody, including a street boy.
And so this bill is not likely to see the light of day.
That's why I'm saying I don't see it going through, because once the churches start voicing their voice against it, he would want to be with that congregation, because the numbers are bigger than the crocodile eater.
All right. Yeah. The crocodile eater is none other than Tana River Senator Danson Mungatana, who has tabled the Religious Organizations Bill of 2024, which seeks to regulate churches. What do you think? Should churches be regulated? That story is there on page 10 of the Standard. Time for us to take a break. When we come back, we'll be discussing the biggest discussion. Okay, I'm informed we can just proceed with this discussion. Yes. Still, staying with the Senator for Tana River, Danson Mungatana, he filed a censure motion against the Deputy President before the Senate. You'll be telling us more about the censure motion. Let's watch this story about the same from our reporter.
The senators are now set to discuss Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua's conduct in the plenary of the Senate. Should Tana River Senator Danson Mungatana's censure motion be approved? Accusing Gachagua of acting in a manner unbecoming of the position of Deputy President, Mungatana filed the motion with Senate Speaker Amason Kingi.
This is a censure motion which I have filed today with the office of the Speaker of the Senate. They will process it. Once we get approval, we shall table it before the House.
As the primary justification for the motion submitted to the Senate Speaker, Senator Mungatana accused Gachagua of marginalizing minority groups and making inciting remarks in what seemed to be an ongoing onslaught on the second in command.
The Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya has been conducting himself as if he belongs to only one region of the Republic of Kenya, to the exclusion of other regions of the Republic of Kenya.
MPs who have been quietly in favor of his impeachment are anticipated to discuss the matter when it is brought up in Parliament.
A censure motion is a debate from the Senate to strongly show disapproval in the manner in which the current holder of that office is conducting himself.
Away from the corridors of Parliament, COTU Secretary General Francis Atwoli reiterated his previous stance that the DP should be an appointment of the President rather than a running mate, declaring that there will be no such debates as is being experienced at the moment. This as members of Nairobi's County Assembly affiliated to United Democratic Alliance UDA urged President William Ruto to resolve the party's escalating political tensions.
We call upon the President and the Deputy President to call the Kenya Kwanza troops to order. Nairobi is very cosmopolitan and need to be handled with care.
The supposed impeachment motion has further alienated the DP in the Kenya Kwanza government, adding to his mounting isolation. Mike Kagwango, TV47, Nairobi.
All right, and we'll be back to take a look at that story. And what exactly is a censure motion? We'll be talking about impeachment. What difference does it make? That after the break.
Looking to pursue
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m.
Welcome back. You're watching Morning Cafe. We continue looking at the biggest headline today, and that has to do with the Deputy President's woes, especially in Parliament. I'm here with Joe Mutambo, former MP Mwingi Central. As a parliamentarian, you do understand the difference between censure motion and an impeachment. And many people are wondering, we've been talking about an impeachment before the National Assembly. Now there's a censure motion before the Senate, and many are wondering, one, what is the necessity of such, and what is the consequence? What exactly is a censure motion?
I am surprised by the move by my good friend, Dunstan Mukatana, who is actually a lawyer. And I'm beginning to wonder, if you are a lawyer, you understand the laws. Mm-hmm. And you must act within the laws. Censure motion is just expression of feelings, expression of criticism that we totally feel against this person. Mm-hmm. It's to tell Kenyans that this is what you are feeling.
Okay.
And that feeling is already out. We know there is a section of members of either Parliament or Senate who are opposed to Gachagua, and they have come out openly. That is enough message. Mm-hmm. That is what amounts to a censure motion. You go to Parliament, it's just being busy. You go to Parliament to table a censure motion, you are just saying, we are not happy with this man. That does not make a difference from the pronouncement which you made in the funeral. Mm-hmm. It is the same. And every hour, every minute, every second, every day, we are getting this information that this group
already not happy.
They are not happy. So that is out there. What I expected Mugatana to do, forget about the impeachment. You know, the impeachment is detailed in the Constitution. Mm-hmm. Why you should impeach this person. And that's why I'm having a problem with the people who are saying they are going to impeach Gachagua. Because they are going to do so politically. They have the numbers politically. And they will be driven by the political urge to remove Gachagua through impeachment. They will do so. But what will happen when Gachagua goes to court? The burden of proof will be left with those who are impeaching him. Mm-hmm. It is them who will come to court and say, Gachagua did this, and this is the evidence. Whatever is described in Article 150, 145, All those articles, they spell out very clearly how president or deputy president can be removed via impeachment. You know, there are several ways of...
I have it open here.
Yes.
I can just read article on 50, the one you were quoting, removal of deputy president. Yes. Specific. The deputy president may be removed from office, A, on the ground of physical or mental incapacity to perform the functions of the office, or B, on impeachment, what they're talking about. Yes. 1, on the grounds of a gross violation of a provision of this constitution or any other law. Secondly, where there are serious reasons to believe that the deputy president has committed a crime under national or international law. Or thirdly, for gross misconduct. Many people are arguing that this gross misconduct is too amorphous and that you can actually fit in anything there.
What is gross misconduct? You know, you have committed misconduct because I don't agree with you politically. No. What is gross misconduct? It will be the people who are saying that he has grossly misconducted himself to prove to court. So, with all what is happening, which is on everywhere, and everybody, every Kenyan, even the judges, they follow politics. Don't say that they only read laws. They follow what is happening in our country because it is to their interest, because they are Kenyans. Right? They know what is happening in the country. So how will you face that judge and you tell him Gachagua did this? Where did he commit this crime? Where did he misbehave? Where? Tell me, as a judge now, I want you to tell me Gachagua did this, and I'm not defending him. This is the man, let me tell you, as I'm talking, I'm saying this. This Gachagua man, when they were elected and sworn in, they came, they assumed the office. And the Gachagua man took the role of the shareholding debate. Gachagua sat down with the several campers, which I'm not going to mention. And they brought my name to that discussion, me. And one of them, who is a very good friend of mine, somebody I respect so much, somebody I dine with, somebody I eat with, I drink with him every day, is the one who asked Gachagua, we don't have seats. Why are you letting Mutambu, who is a Kibicho man, that's the word which they used, word by word, who is a Kibicho man and a Uhuru man, enjoy being in a government office? I was fired the same day by Gachagua, right? I have that intel. But I don't look at Gachagua as a person, and I don't take that when I'm reasoning out on this matter. I leave it behind and go to the truth of the matter, right? So for the parliament to impeach Gachagua, I can tell you from here, from where I sit, they can do so, and they will do so, because they have their numbers, right? They'll do so. Yes. But legally, they don't have local standard to remove Gachagua. No, to your censure motion, which was brought by Mugatana, what will happen will just be, I would say, waste of resources. These members of parliament or Senate, they could have sat to debate other issues which are affecting Kenyans, like the strike of the dons. They are on strike. University lecturers, where are they? They are in the street. That is an issue which we need to spend our time on.
Is it an equivalent, the censure motion, is it equivalent to a vote of no confidence?
No, no. A censure motion has got no binding. No binding at all.
Simply expression.
Just simple expression. But a vote of no confidence has a binding that, and you see, to bring a vote of no confidence, you can only bring it either to an institution. That you have no confidence with the government. So, and they are clever. They know if you bring that motion, you will drag in the president. Because you are talking about the presidency.
The presidency, yes.
You are talking about the presidency. So that's Mugatana. Cleverly, I think the method he uses to catch the crocodile is the same method he's trying to catch without bringing in another party or another person into it. Because when you look at the meaning of vote of no confidence, you vote against either party or a government. Okay, you can vote against a person. But what confidence do you, what grounds will you have for this individual? Okay? So you're having a censure motion, you're having a vote of no confidence, you're having impeachment motion. What else are you left with?
Okay. The suggestion here on the front page of the Daily Nation and also on this Taifa Leo is that probably they're testing waters. The Daily Nation asks, are they testing waters? What will it take to impeach Gachagua? Do you think that probably they're not so confident about their move to impeach the deputy president and they're trying to use a censure motion to try and gauge probably the kind of sentiments, public sentiments to this issue?
You know, what I know is that, and I said it here, Gachagua's goose is cooked. When you hear several members of parliament talk against you as the deputy president, and you are from the same party, it's not opposition, you are done. Gachagua, with this administration, is done, finished, kabuti, kwisha.
Either way, he'll be out.
Either way, they will take him down. Either way, I don't care. I don't know which method they will use. Okay, but they don't care what the law says. They will remove it because.
But you've just said it's impossible to remove it through impeachment.
Politically, I'm talking about political matters. All right.
Okay.
Politically speaking, because even if you are reinstated by the court, and the same government is the one you are supposed to work with, and they have parted ways with, they will frustrate you the way Gachagua is now frustrated. As we speak, Gachagua has got no, it's only that he has a GK vehicle and GSU men following him. Otherwise, he has got nothing. Today, as we speak, Gachagua wakes up from his house, he goes to his office, he don't know what is happening in the government, he has no clue. The only thing he has been left with is to mobilize people in Githurai, in Nyeri, and I would wish he could go, because he's a deputy president, he could go to Ukambane, he could go to Eldoret, but he cannot. He can only circle himself, zero grace, within his limits, which is where he can speak mother tongue. Beyond that, Gachagua can't. Where? I would want to see him in Mwingi. I would want to see him in Makueni. I would want to see him in Eldoret town. I would want to see him there. So what I'm saying is, as we speak today, we have a lame deputy president who is not performing his function. They have been cut.
Yet, his continued stay as deputy president could mean he's just a heartbeat away from the presidency. Whether or not politically he has no clout, if he's still under the constitution, the deputy president, it means that in case of any transition, he steps up to become president. He is president in waiting. Do you think that
if something happens to the president, legally, the person who will ascend to power is Gachagua, whether people like it. So Gachagua is there by the book, one book called Constitution. That's why he's there. That's why he's driving those limos. That's why he has bodyguards following him, because of the Constitution. The question is, do we as Kenyans or as leaders who are there now, do we respect that Constitution? The answer is no. Because if we do, we would not hear Gachagua saying that I've been removed from WhatsApp group.
Yet, the fact that he could stay, although politically probably the power will be much dimmed, the fact that he could still remain deputy president makes very many people uncomfortable. Just the fact that he will still have the title of deputy president.
It is because they cannot do nothing. They cannot. Because you have to, if you are to remove the deputy president, you have to go through the procedure which is mentioned in the Constitution. When you go that route, they know will fail. The only other route which they have, and that's why they opted for impeachment. All right? So if you go down, it will tell you how to impeach the president or the deputy. The grounds are there. So among those grounds, that will be a tall order to prove in court once you do it. And that's why you see they are dialing now to your question whether they are testing waters or they are doing, that's why they are bringing censure motion, which they know it has got no obligations. You do it, you are done. So we will hear Mugatana brought a motion. Yes, what happened then? Nothing. you know, you have to do something aiming to have some end results. What result will Mugatana get from this censure motion? Or what result will Kenyans get from this censure motion?
Okay.
The answer is zero. We'll only hear the same narrative. You will see those who are against Gachagua shouting with a lot of energy in parliament. The same way they do when you give them a microphone. So there's no difference.
Okay, let's look at it from the other side for the deputy president's side. You so confidently say no impeachment can be successful, according to what you're seeing. What if, just for the sake of hypothesis, what if this impeachment is successful? It would mean a lot for the deputy president. If impeached, he could be locked out of public office for quite a long time. Do you think it's safe for him to just watch the impeachment motion go through with the kind of confidence you say that there are no grounds for impeachment, he'll go to court and be safe, and risk being locked out of public office? Or should he, as some people have advised, choose to resign and maintain his political ambitions?
If I were him, I would resign yesterday. This is Kenya. And anything can happen in Kenya. Right? And I asked you a simple question: who follows our constitution? So he may hold that as a strong tool or weapon for him to use, but it may be a gun without a bullet.
So you're saying the impeachment motion, even if it goes to court, might still sail through?
Of course. I'm telling you, this is Kenya. And being a Kenyan, I know how Kenya operates. So I will not put my eggs in that basket, right? I can try. I can try. But I tell you, this is Kenya. This is the same man. Let me tell you what power can do. This is the same man who was found guilty in court. And the same court seized his property and money. When power changed hands, what did he do? He went back to the same court and he got back his money. The same court which few months ago pronounced itself that this was wrong. Okay? So the same methodology can be used against him. Right? That the same court which you feel it will protect me. It is not the entire court. It could be just that court where you are seated on, whereby your goods will be fried completely now, apart from being cooked. Okay? That court. So I will not ask him to lean on that route, because anything can happen in this country. So being a politician, and because he's claiming to have the strength, the stock of a politician is the numbers.
Do you believe he has that kind of strength?
No, not me. It is him. If he believes that what he's doing, going around telling people Nairobi hatutapangwa, tutaamua what to do in Nairobi, we'll decide what to do with Mulima. If he is 100% sure that Mulima is talking about is totally 100% behind him, I would not spend one day in that office. Because my better office is Mulima, not where I am. Because there I'm being frustrated. I will go back to my Mulima and tell people, you know what? Enough with this thing. Let's prepare on how to take it properly, and we remove those who are removing us. If he's a strong politician, that is what he would do. But because he knows that he has messed so many people, including Mutambo, who is seated here, and he would need him tomorrow for Mwingi, or for Kitui, or for Ukambani for that matter. All those enemies he has created, because he plucked off everybody, anybody who was in the office. Those who are working, all the chairs who are working on the parastatal, it is not Ruto. It is this man who plucked them out. It is him. So he has all those enemies. And what I need you to understand, most of these parastatals, the chairs are politicians. And they have their own influence. Even if it's 10 or 20 or 15%. Even if I have that percent influence in Mwingi Central, you need that. Because the other person who holds the 70 is not with you. So you will need this. And if you cannot get it, then you are useless. You have nothing. So my take and my advice to Mr. Gachagua is to weigh his options. If he thinks that he has Mulima, and Mulima is enough for him, he can come in with Mulima, because anybody who want to be the president and you ignore Mulima, you do that at your own peril. Mulima is a key factor into Kenyan politics, considering the number they have. And considering that they are, let me tell you, you may think that you can divide these people. You cannot. I am married there. I interact with them. I know how they behave. I know how they think. For your information, you don't know this. Mulima, they don't vote for anybody. They don't vote in, they vote out. They don't vote for, they vote against. And if that trend goes on, they will vote against somebody. Who is that person? Your guess is as good as mine.
All right. Now this definitely, because now we've agreed, definitely, the deputy president is on his way out. Now that creates a vacuum. There's a need for a new deputy president. Now the debate is that, yes, it will go to the mountain region, but with the recent political happenings and alliances, especially from the western side of the country, where the president is also keen to bolster his support in Nyanza and Western, they could also lay claim to the same position. That complicates the matrix for the president, don't you think? Or is it a done deal that the position of the deputy president will definitely go to the mountain?
No. The only thing I can do, which is not a crime, I can prosper for mountain. Okay? For today, you can call me Prophet Mutambo.
Yes, Prophet.
The mountain and the Ruto is done. Gone. What is remaining in the mountain? Kithure Kindiki. Although, from where I sit, I would claim Kithure Kindiki more than Central, because he comes from Eastern, where I come from. I would claim, apart from the language, which is almost close to the mountain. But I also claim I can understand most of the Raka language than any other person in the mountain, right? But I can tell you, as a prophet for now, and don't hold me for that, prophets are not killed. You only give the message. Ruto and the mountain people is done. Whatever is remaining is the Kithure Kindiki and the 40 whatever. 40, I don't know what number. MPs who are left those sides. And I can tell you, if you have interest in politics, try to follow one by one those members, including my good friend Gachagua, Ichungwa, who comes from just a few meters from where I live. In Kikuyu. Just follow them keenly and find out what is their touch with the ground. Because the boss here, the political boss, is the voter. That is the big man. It is not the minister. It is not the member of parliament. The boss of politics is the voter. That's the person who determines the next move for anybody. All of us will depend on those people. So if you follow keenly the Mulima voters, forget about the Mulima members or the Mulima leaders, even though they are voters, but the larger number is those people who are on the ground. If you follow keenly and ask yourself, these Mulima people, where are they facing? I can tell you they are not facing Sugoy. And the Ruto is not facing Mount Kenya. It's done. So my words as a prophet, if there's anybody in Mulima who thinks if Gachagua goes today, it will be me, I am so sorry. I have bad news for you.
I'm looking at the lineup here on the front page of the Standard of people looking for positions, and most of them are from Mount Kenya region. There's a list here. Kithure Kindiki tops the list. Imani Ichung'wah is second. Anne Waiguru is a suggestion there. Ndindi Nyoro, Cecily Mbarire, Mwangi Kiunjuri. The only person on this list who's not from Mount Kenya is Gladys Wanga.
Let me tell you, my assessment as a political professor, none of those. If Gachagua goes today, I can tell you, and it is not a route all determined. Remember, there's somebody else here who has come and he has also have equal power with the Ruto in terms of numbers. The only person who is close to Ruto in numbers is one man, Raila Amolo Odinga, the only supreme in this country who can call for public holiday, which is not gazetted. It's Raila. So those powers which he can use to call a public holiday, he will use those powers against Ruto and tell him, this is the person. And that is the way it will go. And I can tell you, I smelled something somewhere recently. Him advising Ruto, telling him, mountain has gone. Kidhora is eastern. All right? So whether we give them or we don't give them, you will get nothing from. No. Let's start building this new alliance of Western, Nyanza, Coast, right? And if we do that, we get somebody number 2 from either Nyanza or Western. We get
Gladys Wanga, a possible.
We get no. My good friend, be your governor. Look for the second term. Don't be dragged to these muggy waters. You'll drown. That's what I would advise Wanga. Don't let yourself to be dragged, because people will use your name, blah 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 blah, to appease the public. But at the end of the day, you end up getting disappointed. The way Kidiki did. It was Kidiki, 2022. It was Kidiki. But he got disappointed the last minute because the decision maker, those members who are of parliament who are being called to sit down and cast the vote, they were not decision makers. They were just casting, and they did cast the vote, and they came out with Kidiki. If you follow the story, because I was following it very closely, who were they about to announce as the deputy? All right? Kidiki was the man. But the decision maker was not for Kidiki. It doesn't matter whether he went to defend him in the Hague or not. He had something else in his mind. And what did he do? He picked another person who was an office, somebody who was 1 member term of parliament, and the only level he reached is a DO. So you can imagine having your DO as the deputy president. You have skipped the DC, you have skipped the PC, you have skipped the PS, you have just gotten the DO to be your deputy. So that scenario, look at it and see why we are having these problems. You will understand. Okay? So I want to tell Wanga, the same decision maker, it will not be those people who are surrounding, or those 47 members of parliament who are saying we are behind this Kidiki, and I also want to advise Kidiki. Those are not the people who will make a decision. Decision will be made by 2 people. And I can tell you, I dreamt last night. It's already been done, and you will see it.
Are you now, because it's a dream? You must have seen a name or a figure.
No, I'm not sharing my dream on a television. People may hold me responsible for that. But the truth of the matter, if you are a keen politician in Kenya and you want to analyze the issues of Kenya, and you know how Ruto thinks, how Raila thinks, how these other people think. Because if you want to know what is going on in our country, you need to understand the thinking of these people.
Okay. Now, on page 9 of the Standard, they have 2 images there. One of Gladys Wanga, and the other one of Interior CS Kithure Kindiki. Meaning that as far as many people are concerned, these are the 2 possible people who can fill the position of deputy president. As you said, Raila Odinga will or stands a high chance of making this decision in choosing the deputy president. Do you think that the AU bid, if unsuccessful, could change drastically what we are facing now politically, locally?
With the AU, with no AU, Raila will remain Raila. With being a chairman of AU, being not a chairman, his aspirations, his passion, his dream of controlling Kenyan politics will not die when he becomes the chairman of AU. So he will still be strong. He will still have a lot of influence in our politics. You cannot ride him on. You cannot say now he's the chairman of AU, it's all done. No. He will go to Kisumu, and he will talk to people of Kisumu, of Nyanza.
What if he fails to get that?
It is for Raila is the same. Whether he is there or not, I will not peg a political landscape of Raila in Kenya on AU. He will still behave the same Raila, whether in a suit of AU chair or without. He will still do what he does best. All right? So let people not be cheated that now Raila is gone. Gone where? Ethiopia is just here, Addis Ababa. He can even walk to Kenya and do his moves. So let us not put our energy that Raila will be now the chair, so his feathers are plucked off. No. Raila will still fly high politically in Kenya. And though anybody who thinks otherwise is misinformed.
So definitely the deputy president's position, once Gachagua is out, goes to the Western axis. That's as far as your dream is concerned.
My dream is this. It will go to where Raila points. That's my dream.
But definitely not to the mountain.
No. No. Not the mountain. Not the mountain.
It will be the Western.
You see, people are talking of betrayal here. Who betrayed who most? Who? The mountain, the kingpin of mountain was and is until today against Ruto. The king of the mountain supported Raila to the hilt, right? And not by rhetoric. Even the resources. He placed the resources for Raila's disposal to use in politics. He used his muscles. He used his friends, right? And what happened? What happened? Raila left the same man and went to join number one enemy of the Mount Kenya kingpin. That will have a lot of role to play in 2027 politics. Let me tell you. And those politics will not be played on a gallery or on a funeral. There are decision makers in mountain who are quiet. You don't hear them talk. All right? You don't hear them talk. They are there. And that is where that discussion will be brought. And that is where the direction on which side of the campus the mountain is taking will be reached from that point. It will not be reached by my good friend. And I have nothing against Chungwa. I have nothing against him. But he is not the one who will make that decision. It will be made elsewhere.
Okay.
Yes. So the issue of Raila factor in this politics, you cannot underestimate, because already Ruto has grabbed Raila and Raila has embraced Ruto. So whatever decision will be made by those two. And that is the direction of Sugoiman and the Lakeman. That is the direction they are taking. Unless one betrays another.
Which is still possible.
Which is still possible. Very possible. I would not celebrate that marriage. No. I would not. It is very likely, that the bridegroom, the lady, may walk away with the first man. Yes.
Wow.
And the husband is left standing. That coalition. Yes. There's one man, there's one lady who is very likely, as they are driving home, that car.
would you be as kind enough to us to unpackage this anecdote that you're using?
Those who have ears, they have heard. Those who have ears, they have heard.
You're talking of two people.
Yes.
But you're talking about a third one.
No, there's no that. I'm talking about that alliance has got only two people. There's no other person. The rest are flower girls.
Okay.
In that coalition of Ruto and Raila, now to mention name, it's only two people who can call shots. The rest are Junet, who are flower girls like Matambo. They can only share. Nothing else they can do. No decision they can make. Decision will be made by two people. And that's what I'm telling you. Decision, if Gachagua either resigns today or is impeached and that impeachment motion stands through court, the only people who will make a decision of who will be the next deputy president of Kenya are two. The rest of us, we are just making noise, yapping.
Okay.
Yes.
The People Daily has chosen to go with this headline on the front page: Inside Plot to Rescue Gachagua. Do you believe there's a possibility that he may be rescued? And if at all he can be rescued, what route would that rescue come from?
The only person who can rescue Gachagua is one. Is Ruto. And he can only do so by taming his, I don't want to use a French word, because if I were to use French word, I would say if he tames his dogs. I don't want to use that.
You already used it.
No, there's a disclaimer on it. If Ruto tames his people and tell them, cause law, tomorrow you'll see nobody talking about Gachagua. They will start singing the same song which they are singing about Raila today. Okay? The same, I like referring to Kimani because I follow him so much. He's my friend. When we were doing campaign, the person who spoke dirty words, most dirty words, not even Ruto, about Raila, it was Kimani Ichung'wah. And when Raila and Ruto came together, he is the one who was in Nyanza asking the people of Nyanza whether now they have agreed to be together. He changed the tune immediately, a somersault. Okay? So, if today Ruto says, people, good people, go alone, Gachagua, they will flip immediately at that particular moment. So, what does that tell you? There's nobody who is speaking their mind. They are just following. Nobody who is seeing the sense. There's nobody who is saying, you know, whatever we are doing is not right. We owe Kenyans this. We need to do this for Kenyans. There's nobody who's thinking that. Whatever they are thinking is what the boss says. And that is where they are. So if we were to redeem Gachagua, he has nothing to redeem himself about because he has already exploded. Okay? Gachagua has already exploded. And Kenyans now know the line between Gachagua and Ruto. The only person who can fence that rift is Ruto, not even Raila. Raila can only suggest Ruto. I can tell you, if Raila today stands and says, gentlemen from ODM, let us support Gachagua, let us go slow, they will start throwing stone to him. They will tell him, you came from ODM, now you want to manage UDA. No. But if Ruto says that, it will happen tomorrow. And all this quagmire will disappear. And you will see clarity in our political dispensation going forward. So Gachagua's salvation can only be President William? Not anybody. No one else? No. Wow. On this regime. But if we want to redeem himself, let him take a paper and pen, write a resignation letter, just get out quietly. Now show your force or your mighty on the ground. Was it a show of force when Rigathi Gachagua addressed a rally at Githurai on Sunday, and one of the speakers led the crowd in chants of Ruto must go? Of course it was. Gachagua believes that he has some strength in a Kikuyu-speaking nation. That's what he's telling people, that anybody who speaks Kikuyu is with me. And I will unite these people, including and going together with Uhuru Kenyatta. So, where Gachagua is being accused, he is looking at this political space myopically, short-sighted. He is not lifting his head and see beyond Mulima. He is seeing the end of the world of Gachagua is Mulima. And that's why he's getting hit so hard, because he's a deputy president of the Republic of Kenya. The passion he has for Mount Kenya today should be the same he has for Turkana. The same passion he has for Mulima is the same he should have for Ukambani, for Coast. That is what he's being accused of, okay? And he is not correcting that. So, because he believes that he has power in Mulima, and that's where my advice is coming from. Forget about all these other things. Go back to Mulima and start your destiny there. Start your journey there. 3 years is not too much in politics. One day could be a long day, a long time. But I can tell you, with the process which he needs to go through for him now to redeem himself and to stand somewhere and say, thump his chest, right? It's for him to go back to Mulima, reinvent himself, let him come back with that force. Once he does that, it's like what we call perpetual motion. He goes back, then he swings back. Do you think that without the position of deputy president, he would be able to march? We do apologize for that. Back to our question. Do you think that with that kind of agitation, that the current deputy president would still be able to marshal the support he has right now in Mount Kenya region without the position of deputy president? If he goes there today, because people have decided, and I can tell you, Mulima people are very funny. They went against Uhuru when he was the president, okay? And they did what they wanted to do, not because Uhuru was the president. They told him, you are the president, you are telling us to choose this one. No, we are going this direction. Same thing can happen to Gachagua. They can tell him, you are our son, the way Kate is talking about our son from mountain, our son. So let that cockerel and co of our son prevail, all right? And let Gachagua now say, I don't need the GSU men following me to go to my people. Why do you need a contingent of GSU? Go home. I'm also going home. I need only the driver. Or I can drive myself, Mr. Truthful Man, and go talk to the people. Because the power is with the people, all right? So what I know about the modern people, they are very funny and they are very straightforward. If they tell you this is the direction we are taking, don't expect anything otherwise. Don't waste your time. They have made their decision and they will go by that. So if what Gachagua and the team are telling us today, and they want us to believe that this is our son, as Katie Warguru is putting, so let that narrative be taken to the ground and let Gachagua resign today and go to his people and marshal his now fathers and mothers and sisters and brothers to be behind him. And with that number he has, let me tell you, if we put that number together, nobody will play with Gachagua, if he can do that. But now, if he clings on power to be the deputy president, what will he be getting? Only the salary. But he will do nothing to the people of Muranga. He will do nothing to people of Nyeri, because he is not being looped to the government programs. He has nothing. He cannot even influence any officer to do anything, because their powers have been already taken. And you know what happens with the power? When the president says something, all those people, including the chief down there, they follow. Okay. So any institution, which call it a water institution, which they wanted to do some water in Gajagua's place, and the word has come, hey, cut off. It will not happen. You will see some officers just going around there with papers, taking allowances, but there's no project on the ground.
Okay. A few weeks ago, even before this impeachment idea began to take shape, there were talks about a possible alliance between the Deputy President and the Wiper Party leader, Kalonzo Musyoka. There was even talk about including Kamba as part of GEMA and reigniting that alliance. Do you still think that with the kind of matrix now, things are changing, there's an impeachment motion against the Deputy President, that could still work going forward ahead of 2027?
If I was Kalonzo, that is what I would have done long time ago when I saw these things happening. That is what I could have done if I was Kalonzo. You see, when you talk of Wiper, you talk of Ukambani in matters politics, you are speaking of one man, Kalonzo. We may have differences, political differences, which is allowed politically, and is a democratic world, okay? But I recognize him as a person who Kambas follow. That's the truth. You cannot take it away. It doesn't matter what I feel about him. That's the truth. You cannot take that away, that Kambas listen to Kalonzo. And what Kalonzo could have done is to mobilize Kambas without thinking or looking at what party they belong, or what is their feelings, or how they relate with him. Mobilize all of them, those who are Christian, those who are Waganga, those who are against you, those who are for you. Put them in one house and tell them this is the direction I want us to go. And within those people, there are those who have powers, who can support him, who can go to mountain, who can bring and bridge the gap between Kalonzo and Kenyans, because there's a very big gap between Kalonzo and Kenyans. Kenyans don't trust Kalonzo so much. He need to buy that trust. And for him to get that trust, he need to have marketers. For now, what Kalonzo lacks is the marketers. He don't have anybody to market him. It is himself who is singing along Kioni, going around eating Masai Nyamachoma here and there, which is not, it has got no impetus in terms of politics. He need to have people who can sell him and let him rest at home. Let other people take that role. The way Ruto had people selling him, he is in Mandera, other people are in Western, okay? So this is what Kalonzo need. So coming back to your question, if that happens, any politician, you will not ignore that, because you will be talking about 4 to 5 million votes from Mountain and another 2 from Ukambani. That is 7. When we go on, Max said, go, you have 7 million votes. Oh, is that a number to ignore? That is not. And you need another only 1 million. So with this good speaking English and Swahili and spoken soft words, voice, he can go to Mombasa and get another 200 or 150 or 50. He can go to to Rift Valley, because I can tell you it is not 100% Ruto in the Rift Valley. There is some percentage. Grab that percentage. It is not 100% Western for Mundavman DVD. It is not 100%. There is some leftovers. Go grab those leftovers. Put them to the 7 million. You are sent to power. Are they doing those mathematics? I don't know. They have people who are thinking for him, because for Kalonzo to assume that he is going to think for himself alone and the people who are surrounding him, they are my good friend Kinamanzo and the rest, he is lost.
Should he be worried that the conversation right now, he has no space in the current conversation? No one is talking about it.
You know, that's where I differ with him, because I see things differently. You see, for him, he is 100% sure that he will ascend to power. Okay? How to get there, I don't know. He is not telling people. He says Kenyans will vote for him. But you know, Kenyans, they just wake up and vote. Kenyans are convinced. Kenyans are spoken to. Kenyans need to see people surrounding you are people who can really make the country move. That's what Kenyans need to see. And that's why people elected Ruto, because Ruto was having a team of people of substance. All right? So if we say that Gachagua and Kalonzo will join hands, you will also have to have another question. Who is there surrounding them? Who is shielding them? What is their fence? Because the fence of a politician is the people who are supporting you. Those who have money, because people must have, I mean, you need to travel from point A to B. You cannot use your pocket. You need other people to support you. You need to have people who have vision for the country. You need people who can send the narrative out there. You need people, once they hold a mic like this and they say 2 or 3 words, the whole Kenya hear. Not people, once they say nothing, nobody even is interested in what they are saying. So those are the parameters of a good presidential material. You need to have people around you who can make things move. Okay. So we need to know, who do we Gachagua has, apart from the people of Mount Kenya. Yes, they are with him. But you know, those Mount Kenya people are vulnerable. If another person with a good voice or with a good convincing tongue comes...
You seem to be suggesting something. Is there a name that you can mention of this person who can cover such an alliance?
That can only be done on a boardroom. And if they need my hand device, I'll give them for free. We need to have a serious talk on a boardroom, not on a show like this, because that's a very serious discussion. And it needs people, not people with PhDs and degrees, because there's a difference between knowledge and wisdom. You need wise people.
Okay. All right. Finally, now that we have seen how the second person who has occupied the office of the deputy president is gone, we saw the first one, William Ruto, and the relationship he had with his boss. Questions have been asked about the future of this position of deputy president. Yesterday, Kotu Secretary General Francis Atwoli suggested that it is high time we consider reverting back to an appointed deputy president, like was the case under Mwai Kibaki and Daniel Moi and Jomo Kenyatta, and do away with this running mate issue that so far has been problematic. What do you think of that?
The only remedy going forward for Kenya, for the country Kenya, is to amend a book called Constitution. That is what Atwoli was saying. Maybe he was shy to talk of amending the Constitution, because you cannot revert to that whole system without changing the Constitution. So we have to amend the Constitution.
Do you agree that that is one of the amendments we should seek?
That is what need to be done yesterday. Okay? And what I would do, if it were me, although I don't know whether I should say this, is to work towards amending the Constitution. That will be the solution for Kenya. Because when you are doing that, you have the room to amend all the sections or the articles of the Constitution, which we feel are not doing us service, or are not doing good for us, including how to impeach the president. Now, that's the catch. That's what I did not want to say, but I'm going to say it. Unless Kenyans change the Constitution and amend the method of impeaching the president and the deputy, or let's talk of the president. this Kenya will be doomed. Because the president held so much immense powers when it comes to impeachment. You can't touch him. That is what we need to work on. And I'm calling upon Kenyans, let us wake up and work on this animal, on how to impeach the president. Let's give Kenyans power to impeach the president. Because from as it is today, Kenyans don't have power to do so. We do not have, as per the constitution. But once we give ourselves power to impeach the president, let me tell you, this Kenya will be a safe haven. And every president will behave. Because the moment you misbehave, you know Kenyans will come for you tomorrow.
Okay. Back to the issue of deputies. You say we should consider mending that, having an appointed deputy.
Oh, yes. We should go back to parliament. We should go back to parliamentary system. Let's go back to parliamentary system. That will work for us. This other one is not working. It never worked with Uhuru because it is Uhuru who started with this constitution. It is not working with Ruto. And I don't think it will work with anybody else. All right? And not only the deputy of the president. Look at what is happening with the deputy governors. It is the same genix which is in those offices. So we need to amend this constitution and take care of it and get the right the right method of having. Because if today there was a problem with the deputy president, we would not be talking about it. The president would just take a pen and please, and another Kenyan come in. It does not mean that the world will come down scrambling because the president, Gachagua, has been removed. No. We will get another one, the life goes on. Let me tell you. So government works like a family. Let me tell you today, Edie, and I'm sorry to tell you this. The day you will die, people will cry just the day of burying you.
And then they move on.
The next thing, that I know your car. It will be carrying another person with someone else. And life goes on. So that way, whether it's Gachagua, whether it's Kidiki, whether it's Gladys Wanga, somebody will be removed, another one is replaced, and life goes on. Right. So Ipan and Nduale were exchanged before they even saw themselves in. Is life continuing or not?
Life moved on.
But you are making noise, but things are
still moving.
Things are still, although not in the right direction. Allow me to put this forward to Kenyans. I know to those who are working with the government, those who are supporting the government, everything is okay. To them, they will tell Kenyans, Toko sawa. But I can tell you, this country, nothing is okay. Look at every institution. A government institution must work closely and tightly with another government institution. But today, as we speak, judiciary, which depends on police, on all their matters, because if judiciary today issues an order, who will implement it? It is the police, right? If they want somebody to be arrested, who will arrest? If somebody commits a crime and they need to be taken to court, who will do that? But judiciary and police are fighting. The presidency and the deputy, they are fighting. The parliament is fighting. Every institution, there is a problem. Go to our national pride, which is aviation, right? There's a war at the airport. Everything is not going right. So as we speak today, there is a problem in Kenya which needs to be sorted out. The question is, who will do that?
Who will do that?
Yeah.
When the Deputy President gave an interview to Citizen TV last Friday, he talked about, and this is something that we've talked about over and over, the jinx of the number 2 position. Do you believe that there's such a thing as a jinx on the position of Deputy President or Vice President? And just drawing from history, do you think that that is a real thing?
No, there's no jinx there. What is jinx? That is the perception people are putting it. There's no jinx. I'm a strong believer. I'm a Christian. And you know, jinx is something which has something to do with dark forces, so to speak, right? I am a Christian. There's nothing like that. If people do what is right, there will be no these issues. Why did Ruto and Uhuru part ways? There's a reason. Okay? Why is Gachagua and Ruto parting ways? There's a reason. So if those reasons can be brought to the table and Kenyans understand this is the reason why, and the bad thing is that whatever happens, they keep it to themselves. What happened to Ruto and Uhuru, they kept it to themselves. It's only Kenyans who are speculating out there that Ruto wanted to do this, that, and Uhuru did not want. But nobody has come out, both of them, to tell Kenyans, you know, if I'm one Uhuru Kenyatta, okay, he takes a puff of cigarettes and he tells Kenyans, open his heart and tell Kenyans what happened. Let Ruto read his Bible, okay, and tell Kenyans what happened between him and Gachagua, because it is us who elected them, and their fight affects us. What is happening in Kenya today is affecting the common mwananchi, and that is as a result of disagreement between President Ruto and the deputy. What is happening in Mount Kenya, the agitation in Mount Kenya, people are not sleeping because they are angry, their anchor of what is happening is affecting them, and that will translate the spiral effects of that anger can blast this country. Let me tell you, what is happening in that between the two, it is not something to wish away. That it is just go there, which Gachagua, and life goes on. No.
Okay.
There is too much. There is too much. And these two gentlemen come from two backgrounds whereby there is an history. And if you follow that history, it is something you would not want to ravel.
Okay.
You don't want to jangle with that history because it's bad.
Okay.
Whatever which can come, what can erupt after this, because you don't know what they are. Okay, you know, every man, every politician believes that he has his support, and he thinks that he can use his support to fight back. So you don't know what Gachagua is thinking. I will not just sit pretty as as the president and say, I will impeach this man, I will fire him tomorrow, and I expect life to go on smooth. Okay. I will have to do that with a lot of caution, a lot of caution, knowing the background of our country, knowing the history, knowing the geography, knowing the relationship between the two sides. Yes.
Okay.
I think you understand what I mean.
All right, and as we come to the close of this session, there's one person we've not talked about, and that's the retired president, Uhuru Kenyatta. In this whole debate, Mount Kenya politics, his name has been mentioned quite a lot, especially by the deputy president. Raila Odinga mentioned the name of the retired president also when he talked about his newfound alliance with William Ruto. Do you think that Uhuru's position in the current political formations could change anything going towards 2027?
Not any. It can change a lot. Uhuru's word, Uhuru's direction will mean a lot to the people of mountains. And not only that, I want to tell you that this is a man who has been a president for 10 years. He has built friends as much as he has built some enemies. And there are those friends of his who still believe in him. And if he comes to, and that is countrywide, not only mountain. He has links in Ukambani, he has links in Coast, he has links in Western, he has links. If today Uhuru calls a meeting at Kasarani, it will be full. If today Uhuru says, I want to say thank you to my people for electing me for 10 years, Kasarani will be full, let me tell you. What does that tell you? Because politics is about numbers. That has a lot of touch and influence. There are those who don't like him, which is okay. You cannot be loved by everybody. And there are those who love him, adore him, and especially in Ukambani, in Mount Kenya. And that's why you hear Gachagua will not say a word, 10 words without mentioning Uhuru three times inside. That is 30% of his speech. Uhuru. Why? Because he knows what he did was not right. You know, I have differences with Kalonzo from Ukambani, but I don't stand on the podium when I'm asking for votes and cascade him and abuse him. No, I don't do that. I'm a politician, maybe senior than Gachagua, because Gachagua came to parliament when I had already served 5 terms. Okay? I'm a senior politician than Gachagua. Let me tell you, it's only that by luck I became the deputy president, and I know how he became. Maybe what he had, I did not have. Maybe if I had that, I could put it on the table and become the deputy president of the country, because that matters a lot. Okay? But what I'm saying is the influence of Uhuru Kenyatta cannot be wished away by any sensible and good thinking politician. Right. You will always respect that, because the mountains, they have gone back and said, we were wrong. This man was right. And that is okay. That's enough to change any direction a politician would want to think of which one, either west, east, south. When he says east, very few will say no. It will remain east.
Okay.
Let me tell you. So it's one man I respect a lot, and I know, because it doesn't matter what people think about him. Because there are people who hate Uhuru because of his relationship with Ruto. But I will remain like Mandela. Your enemy will not be my enemy. I will not hate you because of my friend. No. Whatever you do with them, that's your business. That's got nothing to do with me. I respect you because you have done nothing to me, and I will keep on respecting you in that manner. Right. Whether your attitude towards other people should not determine my attitude towards you.
Okay.
Yes.
Correctly put. Asante sana, Bwana Joe Mutambu. Yes, the headlines on the People Daily: inside plot to rescue Gachagua. On the Standard, DP's troubles pile as leaders aim for spoils. On the Daily Nation, testing the waters. It's a question what it will take to impeach Gachagua. So definitely the Deputy President continues to make headlines, big discussion. It's what we've spent a whole morning talking about. What exactly will be happening with this impeachment motion? Asante sana, Bwana Mutambu, former MP Mwingi Central, for your time at TV47 this morning. A lot more coming up after the break. That discussion on housing laws and tenants' rights.